Hey everyone, and welcome to my impressions video of Leviticus. Now Leviticus really, so far, more than any other book that I've read in the Bible, seems to be a really clear indication of just how ignorant the authors of the Bible actually were. That's not an insult. It's just that these people really had no knowledge of the natural world, no tools to investigate the natural world, but they did have a great deal of fear about it. So they came up with whatever superstition worked twice, and stuck with it after that. So one interesting thing I found is that God reveals his motives for bringing the Israelites out of Egypt. So in several places, I wrote down one of them being chapter 11, verse 45, he says something to the effect of, "For I am the Lord your God that bringeth you up out of Egypt to be your God." And the way I read it, it really sounds like he's saying that he engineered the whole situation. He got all these people to Egypt in the first place so that they could be slaves, so that he could rescue them. And honestly, based on the previous books and everything else that I've read, that actually does seem to track with the character of God and his motives and his morality thus far. Why he decided to do this, I can't say. I can't guess at the mind of a fictional being, in other words. But I mean, it really does sound like he did this strictly to gain the Israelites' appreciation and worship, and hundreds of animal sacrifices. I mean, it really does sound like he manipulated the whole situation for his own selfish ends, and like I said, that certainly fits his character. And again, and to a much greater extent, actually, this time, women are treated like garbage. I mean, I did find it interesting that Leviticus specifically says homosexuality in men is bad, but doesn't say anything about women. Now, maybe that's not all that surprising, considering that women are treated so bad. They're not mentioned unless they actually have to be. But maybe that's just a matter of men being in charge and kind of liking the idea of having a harem, and thus not wanting to, cause any problems with that in a religious or legal sense. Overall, though, Leviticus seems to be pretty much in line with what I would expect from a collection of myths from an early pre-scientific culture. In other words, this is a collection of superstitions and gross misunderstandings of the natural world that the people of the time believed would work. For example, curing leprosy by sacrificing a bird, or segregating women who are on their periods because they are unclean. With no germ theory of disease or anything like that, I mean, one idea like this is as good as any other. And sick people typically are desperate enough to believe anything, especially when they have a disease like leprosy, and they know that there is no cure. I mean, this is exactly the same type of thing that modern charlatans prey on when they offer, miracle fruit juice drinks that can cure cancer and stupid stuff like that. And also, as part of this, you can see times in here where people almost got things right. For instance, letting your fields go fallow every few years to help maintain higher crop yields and such. Stuff like that, especially in agrarian societies like they were, stuff like that's going to be of immense importance. So it makes sense to put that type of wisdom into a holy book and have it kind of codified as God's law, and thereby giving the society a much better chance of surviving in the future. Along those lines as well, this obsession, really, with clean and unclean almost sounds like rules for keeping sickness contained. So in such a young culture, segregation pretty much is the only option for containing the spread of disease. And in Leviticus, the rules for such are codified into God's laws, again, to give them extra weight and to ensure that they're followed. I mean, this leads to a somewhat more protected society and gives them a better chance to survive epidemics. So you take that along with the farming stuff that, again, is codified into God's laws, you kind of have almost a societal evolution at work in the Bible, which is kind of cool. The other reason I see this collection of superstitions type of thing in Leviticus is that the book is very disjointed. A chapter might start talking about who can and can't touch holy things, and then suddenly it switches to talking about what kind of animals to sacrifice and how to do it. Well, there's also bits of some really sick stuff sneaking in here as well, though. We haven't really gotten away from that type of thing. Chapter 22, I wrote this down as well, says, keep any non-Israelites away from anything clean. And chapter 25 states that non-Israelites can be slaves forever, whereas Israelites can't be. They have to be released after a certain amount of time. And if you want to know the consequences of this type of mindset, they still exist. In Pakistan, there was a woman who was condemned to be stoned to death, and I have a video on this already about blasphemy laws. What happened was that there was a Christian woman who drank the same water as these Muslim women were drinking. And the Muslim women, taking exactly this type of view of things, said she isn't part of our religion, therefore she's not clean, and her drinking this water makes it unclean for us. And this is the result. Still to this day, we have this ancient, ridiculous mindset of clean and unclean determining when people live and die. And it's really sick. At any rate, thanks for watching, everybody, and I will see you after I have completed Numbers.